Right, we're now going to knock this onto second speed, so make sure you mix your... So what we want to do is now shape it up. So all we're going to do is just put a nice little line across the top. Probably eat that whole loaf on my own with no trouble. Our loaf is now cooled down, so there's only one thing we can do. So for a hot cross bun bread, you want 388 grams of strong white flour, 48 grams of caster sugar, 50 grams of egg, 8 grams of bread improver, 44 grams of cake margarine, or you can use butter, or you can actually use white shortening if you want, 48 grams of fresh yeast, or if you want to use dried yeast, it's around about 24 grams, give or take, 150 milliliters of water, 8 grams of milk powder, 150 grams of raisins, 2 tablespoons of mixed spice, or you can only use 1 tablespoon of spiced oil. Also, you need a large bread tin. So we'll start off by adding all our dry ingredients into the machine bowl, like that. Leave out the yeast for now. Give that a good stir around. And we'll get that straight onto the machine. So we start our machine off on first speed. Now we add in the liquid. Put some of it in first. Then add in the yeast. And then the rest of the liquid. And we're going to give this 1 minute on first speed. Right, we're now going to knock this onto second speed, and then we're going to mix that for 8 minutes. Right, we'll just check the dough. So make sure you mix your spice into your fruit well. As you can see, I've got oil in mine. It sticks to the fruit. But if you're using the dried stuff, exactly the same thing. Just make sure it's all around the fruit. So we'll just put that straight into the dough. And we'll carry on mixing this for another 2 minutes. So we'll start it off on first speed. Right, now we'll knock it on to second speed. Just scrape that off the hook first. Right, our dough's ready. So we'll get this straight onto the table. That's our dough, it's just finished mixing. So what we need to do is split these into 2. And what you need is 2 small tins. This is 1 pound tins, and spray them with oil. And all we need to do is mold these straight up. Now, because it's got bread improver in there, you don't need to have a rest first. You can actually move this. And if you're not using bread improver, what you want to do is leave that for at least an hour so it bulk proofs first, okay? But because we've got bread improver, you don't need to do that. So we'll just mold it up and put it into the tin. And we'll put it straight into the tin. Now you're going to want to let these rest now for around about 1 hour, and that's to prove it. Now we want to be bringing it up to about there in the tin before they're ready for the oven, okay? So we're going to get them straight into the prover, or you can leave them on the table and just cover them over. But if you've got a prover, that's the best way of doing them, because you really want a temperature around about 30 Celsius to prove them. Well, our bun loaves are almost ready. So what we're going to do is put a bit of decoration on. Now it's time to get your oven on. Your oven temperature wants to be around about 400 Fahrenheit, but that would be a bit high for you folk at home. Now with your electric ovens at home, I would say 390 Fahrenheit would be plenty hot enough. And if you've got a fan assisted, and I'd be looking for baking them off at about 190 Celsius. Now they're going to be baking in the oven for around about 15 minutes. I would not expect them to be ready before 15 minutes. Now the larger tins took 20-25 minutes to bake. If you didn't see my video previously, this is crossing paste, and all it is water, flour and oil. There is a recipe in the description. So all we're going to do is just put a nice little line across the top like that. Okay, and then we'll go the other way around as well. something like that. It just makes them a little bit different from the average. Right, we'll get them straight into the oven. Bun loaves are ready, so we'll get them straight out the oven. As soon as they come out, we're going to wash them over with bun wash. And all this is it's golden syrup and water, 50-50. That don't look a bad loaf there. Yummy. I'm looking forward to eating that later. I'll probably eat that whole loaf on my own with no trouble. We'll just let them cool down then. But there you go, folks. If you like this type of content, please subscribe and please share. And don't forget, your recipe is in the description. And if you want to buy me a coffee, there's a link up here. And we'll see you again very shortly on the Crazy Baker channel. Laters! Tasty. I think I'm going to eat that now. Well, our hot cross buns are ready. So we're going to cross these. Now, if you haven't seen a previous video, this is crossing paste. All this in here is water, flour and oil. There is a recipe in the description.